All right, welcome to the 15th Nixpkgs architecture team meeting. As always, I'm recording, leading the meeting, and John is taking meeting notes again today. So first things we had, actually maybe I can show my screen here, that I wrote a kind of well-formatted discourse update. Let's see here. All right. So the agenda, we had at NixCon last week, which was fun, meeting a lot of people, and some people of the Nixpkgs architecture team and others involved in this discussion regularly were there. We had an in-person meeting there, which was nice. I think these are all the people that were there. Sorry. And though I might have missed someone. I'm not sure, Tom, did you? No.
Yeah, I added some stuff to the top of the hedge doc.
Yeah, let's look at that in a bit. Do you know if some? Well, it's fine. I think we have most people in the list here. Right, Tom just wrote down meeting notes. He took some at the meeting on like pen and paper. Just wrote some quick ones here, but I'll also summarize it in a bit. I wrote some main takeaways I got from that, but let's look at the meeting notes here as well. It was mainly discussing the PR or the RFC draft, the auto called packages RFC draft I made, and kind of discussing some details about that, some trade-offs, how we can add deprecation properly, and so on. I'd say that was half the time, but the other half of the meeting was mainly Valentin. He's the lead of the documentation team and made a very good talk at NixCon. He kind of pushed us to really do like focus on one thing and to not kind of try to focus, to not discuss like all of these issues all the time, but really just use that time to focus on one thing and work on that. Warning seemed like, yeah, and I think that was very good. It was very good that he said that because we didn't really do that, and focusing on one thing helps Valentin to really make progress with the documentation, kind of one step at a time. He also made in the talk at NixCon, he made really good. He kind of created a graph of tasks to do for documentation, and then kind of worked from the bottom up there to really do the tasks first that don't have any dependencies, and then focus on these exclusively. We also discussed, that we can do. So last time for the RC, I was like, okay, I need to write a tool that can do this transition automatically. But then we discussed that maybe we can get away with just like quick tooling and tags to do like 80% of the job and then manually fix the rest. And that probably works well. We discussed how we can check that it worked, like how we can evaluate Nixpkgs before and after. If the hash has changed, we obviously changed some derivation when probably shouldn't be changed for only like this PR or this RFC. Yeah, I think, yeah, also something else that we talked about was that I should just kind of do a bit more kind of management tasks. So like, I think one of the things, just like leading the meetings, but also writing these like discourse updates, trying to summarize discussions, trying to write out to-dos for the team. So while I might not be like I can't tell anyone what to do. That's up to individuals. But what I can do is really give specific tasks that would help Nixpkgs architecture team, and writing those down and giving clear directions how to achieve them. Really kind of trying to delegate work and making it easy for people to contribute. I think that's, well, I didn't really want to do that initially. I feel like it might be a good thing to do in the end, because someone needs to do that, I think. Otherwise, it feels just, it doesn't feel like an effort with a single direction. So I guess since we have some of the existing members here, I just want to quickly ask this. Is that okay for everyone for me to kind of be in such a leading position, which doesn't mean I can make decisions on my own, of course. It just means that I'm gonna try to lead the team, write down tasks, I see upvotes here. All right. Where can you see the log of these upvotes anyways? Oh, in the chat. Nice. All right, John, Tom, Robert, and Alex as well giving upvotes. I'm also going to ask Chris, who isn't here right now, on Matrix, since he's the other member of the team, whether that's fine. But otherwise, I'm going to try to work a bit in that direction. All right, I'm also going to commit these meeting notes that Tom is writing here to the meetings repository, so we have them somewhere. All right. I think that's good then. Anybody have any comments on the in-person meeting or anything we discussed there?
All right. I think, like you said, Valentin kind of came in hot, but I think I basically agree with him that it would be, good to push that one to completion, and that will give us momentum to do other things we might want. So it's not like doing one thing at a time forever, but just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Right, and especially with more people, every individual person might be able to focus on one specific thing. Just kind of parallelizing work as well.
Yep.
All right. I do want to add another agenda entry right here, since Alex would like to say something. Let me quickly add here. Alex, do you want to quickly take the stage?
Yeah. Was this for I guess I would like to join the old team, guys. Was that the one we were talking about, or were we talking about call package?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I've been around here for a little bit. I think it's about time we made this official.
Awesome. Yes. I guess to do the, I mean, can we do the protocol in the channel as well?
Yeah, I think I had. I was reading all this, and I was doing like my. I thought, do I need to prepare a cover letter or?
It's not that complicated, but like, I mean, I don't know, maybe you can quickly mention here, like, your motivation, just for the record.
Well, I mean, I just love Nick so much. I just no, but I mean, I've been using Nix and Nixpkgs for, I don't know, a million years now. I think after this long of using it, I gotta say, got a lot of appreciation for everyone's been keeping that giant monorepo running for all these years, and I want to lend a hand.
Awesome. So your GitHub, well, I guess you having a message in Metric would still be useful, but yes, I know you're a GitHub user. Do you have time from a company that you can spend?
I think all the project I've been working on for like 6 months is that Node.js with Nick stuff. So I would say, yeah, they've definitely given me
All right.
pretty long leash to go work on open source Nick stuff. That's Tulip
Awesome.
Interfaces up in Boston.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's probably best to just write
this up.
a small message with these things. But yeah, I'd love to have you in the team as well. I think you have a lot of motivation and a lot of power to spend for this.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, GitHub username. We will fill this out later in somewhere. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But let's continue on with the agenda. Just a quick item here. Let me go here. Quick item. I made a PR to add the Nixpkgs architecture team to the nixos.org webpage. It's in here. Notably, it currently lists the motivation, the members, and the goals. And then for the administration and communication, it just links to a bunch of pages. So we have the GitHub team page. That's where the team originally was documented. That now the motivation and goal and the member list is now removed from here. So that changed a bit. Everything is already updated. I think that should be fine with most people. I also made this as a PR, so all the members could could review the changes here. But yeah, this essentially to some degree makes this team official for the first time. Originally, it was only started as like very independently, but it being on the Nixos webpage is nice, and it's somewhat established now and can be called official. That's nice. But yes, then I also want to quickly mention that RC 127 was a bit of a weird one. So this introduces kind of a mechanism for issues and warnings in Nixpkgs that's supposed to replace some other mechanisms. The RC isn't like bad in general, but there are some issues with it, namely that it also kind of includes deprecations to be done that way. In addition, that warnings here are actually errors. Like warnings in this RFC actually throw errors by default.
Oh, so you have to catch them?
Yeah, you need to explicitly ignore these warnings for them to be turned into warnings and not errors. Mm-hmm. And I left a review here. Well, this is kind of a misleading problem in the RFC, in my opinion. I left some comments here. I was very worried because the RFC was in final commit period. But it wasn't really properly announced. Usually a discourse post is done for RFCs when they go into FCP. This time it wasn't done, and it's still not done. The FCP would officially be over, but because there's been some discussion about the discourse post not being done, it's kind of in a stalled position right now. But yeah, I just want to kind of point this out here because it almost messed with the kind of deprecation convention in Nixpkgs, where let's see. Yeah, deprecation is a process where we should first give a non-throwing warning and then an error, and that like you release a part at least, and only then we can remove something. This PR kind of almost in a hidden way introduces this for deprecations. Yeah, do we have any quick comments on this? Does anybody, I feel like for now that's handled. We don't need to, we don't need to talk about that very much, but if you have any comments right now.
Did they change it or is it still in the,
it hasn't been changed, no. It's just in limbo right now, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very simple that you shouldn't change the mechanism and the policy at the same time. This is a mechanism PR about how the stuff should be written. What the policies are is best dealt with separately. It's just there's too many nice improvements here to bog this down over this sort of thing. I get what they call bike shed, but it's just a distinct conversation. And it's best to just leave that out. I mean, no matter what the policy is, having a better way to write things is a great win. So let's just take that and worry about this stuff later. I mean, I could see there being a room for a hard deprecation versus a soft deprecation, but again, that's policy.
Yeah. That's a good point. I feel like that could even become like an addition to the RFC like protocol itself, where we can make a recommendation that you shouldn't change policy and mechanism at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's good. Let's move on to the next item.
Well, should we like leave some sort of team comment there, indicating some sort of consensus? I mean, you and Robert individually left comments, but
yeah, I guess we can. So, John, you're also kind of the opinion that. Well, I guess you haven't taken a super close look at the RFC, but if it indeed, we should have a better deprecation policy than this.
Yeah.
So you're also in kind of a bit worried about this. And Tom, what do you think about that? So we can reach some consensus among the callers here.
I will just, I don't know, abstain or don't have a strong opinion at the moment.
All right. Then, yeah, let's leave a team comment here. I'm just quickly going to write the Nixpkgs architecture.
I don't know if this is really a good idea to start something as the team.
All right.
Because we're kind of new, and maybe that will put us in a sort of a bad light if this goes off the rails, right?
I feel like to some degree, we have to kind of establish ourselves as a team that kind of watches over the general architecture of Nixpkgs. And maybe it's at least good to point out that we did discuss this in a meeting, and we could maybe link to even the YouTube timestamp of this meeting.
I think it's like we don't have to act like we have power over the RFC. We don't, but we can still like express a team opinion that they can, do what they want with. Does that address your concerns, Robert?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's about authority.
All comes down to tone. It's gotta,
right.
You gotta bring this across like, hey, we talked about this. We had some thoughts versus, this is the way it's gonna be.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. That sounds good to me as well. So should we leave a comment there? Well, I guess honestly, the discourse bot already kind of linked to the discourse agenda. And actually in the discourse agenda, I am linking to, well, the meeting notes will be here afterwards. So I feel like that actually already covers it. So does it sound good? So no action needed here.
Yeah, sounds good.
In the notes, I mean, if you read the thread, it's clear that Robert and you and Vanessa already agree. But should we like make that clear in the notes so anyone that reads the notes can just sort of see the vote? Basically,
Yeah.
you want to like, vote in the document. I don't want to like write you agree for you.
It's maybe not needed. We already left comments in the PR itself, and that's.
I mean, if we were to leave a comment like as the team linking the timestamp, linking the notes, then that has all the information.
Yeah, but I'm also gonna write here. Sounds good. Yeah. But I think that sounds good. Let's move on. The next item here, I think so. Prof Patch, Philip, he proposed like a JSON schema for Nexus options, so you can have auto completion in like editors. He proposed that. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think it's relevant for this team, since it's just a nice feature to Nixpkgs. It doesn't need the team to involve the team that much. Any objections? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Are we even supposed to care about NixOS at all? I don't know if we're the repo or just Nixpkgs.
I think yes, because it's in Nixpkgs, and it's. Well, I guess there's a reason it was moved into Nixpkgs at some point, so we can.
Yeah.
I feel like for now, yes, but there's more pressing issues outside of NixOS that we should focus on instead.
I mean, yeah. Right. If he did he imply that he needed us, or was he just letting us know?
I think it was just like a suggestion. This would be cool. And he actually made a prototype. He sent a message in the Matrix channel with his like very rough prototype.
Nice.
But it's not really usable, so I didn't want to share it with too many people. But I think it's a cool idea. We can. I don't know if I see the PR, I might review it and approve it or so. But we don't need the team for this.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes you just like make a cool thing. You got to be like, check it out, y'all. I've been hacking on this thing.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of trying also with like the discussions we had recently on the NPM tooling, which kind of got
that went off the rails.
Nixpkgs territory. Yeah, no problem. But I think right. I'm gonna try to keep the discussions on topic.
In the channel here.
I think eventually it could like become a bigger deal as is like what exactly should the module system be, but that's a little ways off.
Yeah.
I want to pluck the module system so that I can use that to just do like configs and stuff like that without having to like run the whole system. I've done it a couple times, but the interface for it's all kind of.
But yeah, I think let's move on to the next one. We have the Alex, your kind of draft that you for a kind of type checked fetchers, but also kind of fun code.
So these were This was am I on mute? Oh no, I'm good. Yeah, so the idea was I've got a Y section, but I guess the thing that led me into this was like one was I realized I couldn't use lib.function args on any of the built-ins, which was annoying because I work in the REPL most of the time and I always forget the args that are available. So I started, I defined the arg lists for every single built-in. Once I had done that, I just kind of kept going with it, which was, oh, I'm going to stash in there the default args, and then, oh, some of these are polymorphic. And so then I started using the Yance types to like, the lib.function args thing has got to like do the full list of any arg it can take. But this allowed me to like, oh, I could actually like see valid combinations of arguments and stuff like that, which was nice. But I think really there was a couple of helper routines in here that I thought would be maybe useful upstream. The big one was like I had taken call package and split it into 3 separate parts, where like in this case I'm doing like function calls, and these usually return like store paths rather than derivations, and so the override mechanism isn't always like really what you want. But the argument filtering that call package does, and also the like creation of a thunk, or being able to stash those values, was super, super useful. So I think that, yeah, those 2 pieces I might have thought about pushing up. The other one that was nice about this was like these generic kind of wrappers were basically like there's like a single like fetch GitHub or fetch Git kind of function, and you can plug into it to say like, oh, hey, I want you to use the Nixpkgs fetcher, or hey, I want you to use the built-in fetcher, or use fetch tree, and it'll auto convert the args. The other one connected to that was I did that full URI parser that can like explode. It explodes like a URI into that, like in the same way that like fetch tree would, or like for the like where you take a URI and explodes it into attributes.
Is that also in here?
That one's in it's a dependency repo called Rhyme that's on my same account. That one I think is there's definitely pieces in that, particularly for the Git. The parsers.
All right. So kind of you're kind of focused on the built-in fetchers, and from that a whole bunch of things emerged that might be useful for those, but not for. But since they're not derivations, you can't use that. And then kind of going from that, I'm not sure what the URI thing here is used for.
So like, let's say for example you have a Git fetcher and like different.
Quick,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Quick, is it relevant for Nixpkgs?
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
And it's really to parse out. Yeah. So like to parse out the actual components of a URI to like plug them in. So like, for example, like Nixpkgs and the built-ins have a slightly different, they have slightly different rules about like, oh, I can use a slash here, I can use a colon here. Little things, really? Or like, like fragments, for example, you can put like a ref in a fragment in one set of fetchers, but you can't in the other. And the other one has to be a query. So it's like little minor things that like would just like, if you tried to switch between one or the other, it's like, oh, I just have to shuffle some of these pieces around. But in practice, if you tried to do it on a large number of them, it would be really annoying. The other one I would mention is the type checking is like you can toggle it on and off. The parser itself is, I think, the thing that would be useful upstream. The type checking did help me confirm that the parser worked, though.
All right. I feel like it might be useful to. I can't quite see from this where exactly the parser can be used in like Nixpkgs, or but like creating like an issue for this, or even a PR where you or a draft PR, where you can go into that a bit. That would be nice.
Cool.
Yeah, but it looks pretty cool. There's always kind of as soon as you introduce a type system.
Yeah, and the types I would
bring
leave
to
out.
like.
Yeah,
but type system, like how does it relate to the Nixos module system? Can we kind of unify those and so on?
Yeah, the types were, I will say,
yeah.
mostly to keep me sane when I was trying to like write the parser, because URI parsing is really complex. But it is like the parsers themselves are like individual functions, and the type checker is a layer on it that was like I was running it for the test suite really.
Yeah.
Using it to audit.
Yeah, okay, but that's good. We can definitely have that be tracked as like an experiment that might be worthwhile having
Cool.
maybe upstream at some point. Yeah, like I mean, I guess that goes into the general territory of like adding types to Nix as well, like this kind of thing, which a lot of people would like to have.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, also, I just recently I'm trying to document the functions, all the functions in lib in Nixpkgs, and they currently have just an ad hoc type
Yeah.
string that you can set, but that's like entirely ad hoc. It doesn't have any structure. And
I was we should talk about some of this stuff. I
and
went through a
those
bunch of drafts of this to get like this little metadata and a doc string that I was nesting in some of them.
yeah. So this is Jans, right?
Yeah, which I think has been pretty good. I forked it to change a few things, like expose a couple of extra pieces. But yeah, I had gotten I set up like a little pattern for like composing a bunch of overlays of types, so I could share them across repos. So like the types that get here are like split across like 3 repos that all get composed in. But yeah, I think
and also that actually also reminds me of Robert in the source combinators, PR source combinators. Robert has added a small property check kind of thing. I'm just in the process of kind of trying to split up this PR a bit, but he added kind of a very simple property test framework here, which doesn't work exactly like property tests because you can't really automatically generate values for specific types. But I feel like if we had a proper type system, we could, or a somewhat proper type system, we could make something else like that also make it work nicely.
cool.
And then also improves the tests by a lot because the current tests in Nixpkgs are just like a bunch of.
The tests are perfect. I appreciate their simplicity, and I appreciate that the real point of the tests is to call every function once, so it will set off the syntax checker. That was one that I had to figure out. Was it doesn't
it's good to have tests at all, but
but
it's a bit
having
painful
literally
to,
one is like having at least one is important, because otherwise you could
yeah,
have
I guess
like
code coverage 100%, close to 100% maybe. I'm kind of doubting it. There's a lot of weird functions that nobody ever uses.
anyway, thanks for letting me share. I had some fun doing that. Yeah, I think pieces of
yeah.
that could be useful upstream. The splitting call package into its 3 pieces, and I mean leave call package how it is, but as individual components, I found them to be very useful. And then some of the URI stuff.
Sounds pretty cool. All right, so do we have any comments on this? Anybody feel like? Oh yeah, any comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool stuff. I'm definitely, as like a team project, very wary of trying to make more like runtime contract, dynamic type system things. I don't know if they're maintainable yet, and I really just want to keep the pressure on the other relevant teams that there's only so many things we can do without static types, and we're just going to hit that wall soon. And the workarounds just aren't worth it. So gotta keep the pressure up on them.
Yeah, and I'll say I definitely I would not. I actually do not recommend pushing the type system that I wrote upstream. Yeah. That was like, this was more for me and my own sanity when I was working on personal projects, when I was kind of building out some infrastructure stuff. But there was a couple of utilities in there, like I think the URI, the actual parser,
Okay.
like all the regexes that do that and kind of destructure, and then for the maybe not the actual wrappers that I wrote around those function calls themselves or around the built-ins, but I think that the utilities that I used along the way, like the I guess they're like the arg filtering thing and that sort of stuff, when I had sectioned off call package, I found to be very, very useful. I think just writing built-ins.intersect adders is just way too long. So
It also goes into the territory of just refactoring the standard library in Nixpkgs, because there's not a lot of structure there. It's also very organically grown with just a bunch of random functions here and there.
Well, that is
Not
pretty
a lot
much
of
all
naming
I've been doing
conventions,
lately.
consistency. Yeah,
I got some. Yeah, I definitely would have some input on organizing those libs. That took me finding out
Yeah,
that I was
think
going to
that's
organize my own was
yeah, I think that's in scope for the team as well in the future. Yeah, that sounds good. Then should we move on to the final agenda entry here? Well, there's also David on Matrix also suggested something else. But so the final one here, I can quickly show this. So the issue is about, so the PR adds build npm package in addition to a hook. I think it's like npm hook or something, like setup hook. It's kind of hard to see. Setup hook, make setup hook. Yeah, it adds a bunch of hooks here, which do like npm install and then some other actions, which allow packages that don't call the npm, or that don't call the build npm package because they're Rust or something else, for example. This allows these packages to still easily invoke npm and build packages using it without changing the kind of builder call to build npm package. So to some degree, this, do we have an example here? Npm install hook.
Is build npm package deduplicated with those?
I think so, yes. Build npm.
Yeah, hard requirement for me.
Yeah, build npm package. Oh, I think the implementation is hidden somewhere because the file is so big. But yeah, that's a good point. Should be a requirement.
So it does, so it does duplicate like internally. So like from what I read, at least it did look. And I could be wrong. Please correct me. But yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. Was I think as written, it does like each package, or sorry, like each derivation would have an individual instance of the cache. It did seem like there was a pipeline to you could pluck a cache out of one derivation and pass it on to another one to like extend it, I think. But like I don't think that you're
this,
like,
I think John probably meant the implementation, but it looks like here it is deduplicated.
Well, I guess it's
because
with the thing. What do we have today for this? We have something build node package
Yeah, there's node packages.nix or node to nix or something like that. But that's just a real mess.
Is that used upstream? I've only done out of tree node packaging.
It is in here. There's, I think, what is development node packages? Node.
It's in a weird spot. I think there's two spots that they place that stuff.
Yeah, node packages. Oh, move to. No, this is. So I think
The
there's this
Node-env
JSON
one.
file here. And here are all the node packages that people want to have like packaged here, and then this file is being generated, 5 megabytes big.
Okay.
And that's generated with I think no,
It's
not
the
here
node to Nix.
Yeah, I think it's node to Nix.
Mm-hmm. So like it generates like a package lock and then converts it to, it like plucks out the URLs and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's really terrible. Like I heard that it takes like 2 hours to update the file now, and that's just terrible. I'm not sure how this. Oh, actually, no, this will.
Yeah, how does this relate? I mean, we have so many node things already. I don't know if we want another one.
I think.
But also for the topic, I don't want to drift us if it's supposed to be about escaping inside of hooks, and this is a mere example.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like. Well, I hope other reviewers also take a look at this and kind of make sure it's not a duplicate of existing functionality and kind of improves the landscape. But the thing here I wanted to mention is that kind of here, the NPM hooks, they use environment variables or bash variables to be configured. I think if I turn on comments here, yeah, so in here, the make derivation receives arguments. And in these arguments, you have things like, so in here, this is a good example. So you might use a build Go module. You want to build something with npm, and then you include the npm config hook, but also pass flags to it in this way. This, however, isn't very great because the arguments aren't escaped. So if you have spaces in here, the builder will just serialize them with the toString function, which just concatenates with new lines with spaces. And so you'd have to either explicitly document that people need to use like lib.escape shell args here, which is error prone and it's error prone. Or my other suggestion was to add an argument to this hook, so this hook could handle the escaping. So instead of having this hook itself, you have like npm config hook and then an argument where you have npm install flags in it.
Is there like with make flags we have the make flags array? Is there something like that?
That's how I've always dealt with this. Anytime I write something similar to this.
The make flags array is a bash thing though. You can't pass strings in Nix like that.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, what I'm thinking is longer term, the structured adders, or frankly, we don't even need Nix support for it. Getting the Nix data into bash arrays is a good long-term solution. Versus like doubly quoting things because we're going to eval them kind of like freaks me out. Is like it's not. I get why it's like better in the short term, but it seems like we're going down the wrong tree. So I mean, I still have hope that we'll get to some of that structured adder type stuff eventually, and so that as long as there's an array interface somewhere in there that will mesh up with that, then we're on a good long-term trajectory.
So you think it's fine to just have it this way, but also have a like npm install flags array in bash for people that need the arguments with spaces in them.
Yeah. It's shitty. It's definitely shitty, but it's the shittiness we know and the shittiest we have a long-term plan for.
Yeah, I will say
it's
a weird one, but like at least it would be, the thing that was important is like even if it's not great, it's consistent with existing usage. Where like I agree the make flags away, when I first found out what was going on, I was like, what is this? This is so annoying. But when you know what it is and how it works, it's at least like, okay, I know the pattern now. And so when I see a thing with basically the same name in another place, I would prefer that it's like consistent, even if, we have notes on things that could be improved.
Yeah. All right. That, I guess, yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. So I can make, well, I think Winter, the person making this PR, might see this meeting afterwards. I'll try to remember to link him to it. But yeah, I guess our conclusion is that this is fine. So I'm going to kind of retract my suggestion here for doing the argument thing to the hook, which is a bit weird. By the way, there is one hook in Nixpkgs and one usage of it that has an argument. It looks like this. But yeah, that's not the norm. That's a bit weird.
I mean, for something, like making a hook on the fly could be good, but yeah, I mean, here I could imagine multiple things all appending arguments together, and then who gets to call the hook? You have that sort of late binding problem. So
yeah.
Plus, the other one was that some of that dequoting stuff, I got bit so bad the other day with them in pre-hooks versus the body of a phase. Some of the quoting stuff can turn into a mess really quickly. So I think the array is usually like, I'll go to that when I'm just like, I just need this to work. And I am tired of dealing with quoting and unquoting.
Yeah. I guess for now, let's just do it the traditional way. People might run into problems with quoting, but they can then fall back to the array variants if they need to. And yeah, in the future, further future, we can have something like structured hashes, which should cover that at that point, and then we can make like a big tree-wide change to fix all the argument quoting in a nicer way. All right. So I think that sounds good for that problem as well.
I'm not sure if you're watching. Good job with all the node stuff.
Thanks.
Yes.
It's a crazy problem space.
Then we have, also some chat messages have been in there, which I kind of missed. But David Duck on Matrix asks for feedback for this PR. I'm not sure if we can give some quick feedback here. Oh, it's just this.
Agent stuff.
Fake user date. I don't know. It feels like. Is it relevant for this team using fake data for download? Oh, I see. Just kind of using this fake data for.
Is this like the agent
downloads?
Info for a fetch?
Oh, the agent info for the fetching. I guess that.
I don't know enough about.
Sounds fine to me, but yeah, I don't think we need to discuss this here.
Yeah, I've never heard of this thing, for those, but legit.
Yeah, for those who are interested, they can go to the PR and take a closer look. Also look at the context. But yeah, it's if there's something controversial there, we might come back to that. But for now, that sounds fairly good to me. All right. Looking back at the things we discussed, are there any more comments on any of the issues? All right, then that's yeah. Who?
I just said yeah. No more comments.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so that sounds pretty good. We're just 5 minutes short of going actually over time, but that's perfect. So yeah, I guess let's end the meeting here. Thanks for joining everyone and see you next week. And Alex, I'm waiting for your matrix message.
All
The
right.
calendar
Alright.
is correct. I think the calendar shows it as 30 minutes.
Yes, but we kind of calendar is the minimum 30 minutes, but we also set a maximum of 1 hour in case we have more
Okay.
things to
That's can't be.
discuss.
Okay.
I guess I could add that to the calendar. That would be nice.
No, I don't care. I just didn't know that. That makes sense. I'm fine either way. Question
yeah.
rescinded.
Okay, I'm ending the recording.